Look, Harbor Freight isn't just a place for junk. In fact, they've got some absolute gems that are arguably the best bang for your buck deals on the market. But here's the catch: sitting right next to those must-haves are the tools that, if you pick the wrong one, will cost you time, money, and sometimes even your own safety. We're talking tools that look cheap and feel okay in the hand, but die after 2 uses. There are small things like gauges or electrical testers where a tiny error can lead to a massive headache. And then there are the ones where you only realize there's a problem when it's way too late. In this video, I'm calling out the Harbor Freight tools you should absolutely avoid in 2026 based on real-world experience and the stuff the industry insiders usually keep quiet about. Let's get into it. Before we dive into the specific items, let's get one thing straight. This isn't just a hate video for the sake of complaining. The tools on this list aren't here because they look ugly or because I don't like the brand. They're here because they're unreliable when you actually need them to perform. I only put a product on this list if it fails in at least one of 4 ways. It's a disposable tool. It breaks almost immediately after a few uses. It's a fraud. It flat out doesn't do what it's designed to do. The danger zone. It has accuracy issues or hidden safety risks, especially when dealing with electricity lifting vehicles or precision measuring. The expensive cheap. It might be cheap at the register, but it ends up costing you more in the long run because you're constantly replacing or repairing it. The common thread here is you won't notice the issue the second you pick it up. You only realize it while you're in the middle of a job. And that's the last moment you want your gear to betray you. If you like content that helps you buy smarter and avoid flushing money down the toilet, consider subscribing to the channel. Now let's start with an item that almost every car owner has used, but is way too easy to overlook. Let's start with something most of us have rolling around in our glove box: the tire pressure gauge, specifically the Pittsburgh 110 PSI from Harbor Freight. At first glance, it's a total steal. For just a couple of bucks, you get a tool that looks professional enough. But that's exactly where the trap is set. See, with a wrench or a pair of pliers, if the handle grip is a bit trash or it hurts your hand, you can shrug it off because, hey, it was cheap. But with a measuring device, if it's wrong, it's not cheap anymore, it's a safety hazard. Plenty of techs and former employees have sounded the alarm that these Pittsburgh gauges have a massive failure rate after just a few months. It might tell you you're at 32 psi when you're actually sitting at 25, or vice versa. You know what happens when your tire pressure is off. Your braking sucks, your tires wear unevenly, and most importantly, your car starts chugging gas like it's water. I've personally compared these against a Jacobs gauge or even the Cobalt 24-volt digital inflator. The discrepancy is night and day. You're better off spending a few extra bucks on a decent digital gauge than putting your faith in a metal stick that just picks numbers at random. Don't let a $2 tool ruin a $500 set of tires. If you find these hard-earned warnings helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to help me uncover more truths about the tool world. We aren't just saving money here, we're protecting ourselves. And if you think a bad tire reading is a disaster, the next item is 10 times scarier because it deals directly with the electricity running through your home. Moving on with today's blacklist, we're stepping into a whole different level of danger. If that tire gauge from earlier only cost you some rubber, this next item might cost you a trip to the ER. We're talking about super cheap multimeters and voltage testers. There are things you can buy cheap just to test the waters, but electrical test equipment is absolutely not one of them. At Harbor Freight, those multimeters that cost less than a couple of lattes are usually the bait during big sales. But remember, if it gives you a wrong reading, the mistake isn't just on the screen, it's in the next move your hands make. Imagine using a cheap non-contact tester to check an outlet. The device says all clear. You trust it and you stick your hand in there to start working. But in reality, the circuit is still live because the sensor is garbage or died without warning. That's not just a failed job that's gambling with your life. I've personally seen low-end multimeters pop fuses or literally melt their casings during an overvoltage test because the internal circuitry was so flimsy it didn't even meet basic CAT safety standards. Compared to pros like Fluke or even mid-range brands like Klein Tools, the difference isn't just the features, it's the insulation and the reliability. Don't turn yourself into a human conductor just to save 20 bucks. Electricity has zero chill and it doesn't offer do-overs. Listen up, folks. We just talked about electricity, but now let's talk about several tons of cold steel dangling over your head. Another mistake I see rookies make all the time is dragging home those tiny budget floor jacks, usually the basic under 3-ton models at Harbor Freight. On paper, they look fine. The specs say they can lift the car, and sure enough, they do. But the real issue is what's inside the hydraulics and the oil seals. On these bottom barrel models, seal quality is a total crapshoot. Use them for a while and they start leaking oil or losing pressure. And here's the scary part, they don't fail all at once. They fail slowly. One day you jack the car up and it just starts to sag. I've seen jacks that worked perfectly for the first few months, but then every lift became a guessing game because you could feel it settling. That is a massive red flag. You never want to be guessing whether your jack is going to hold this time. If you're just doing light lifts and always using jack stands, which you should, maybe you can get away with it. But if you're wrenching regularly or thinking about crawling under a car with just the Jackman, it's not worth it. If you catch a sale, you can upgrade to the Daytona line or a more reputable brand. You pay a bit more, but you're buying peace of mind, and in this game, that's the most valuable tool in the box. We've talked about bad readings, electric shocks, and cars crushing down. But this is the final boss of Risk, the Thunderbolt Solar 30-amp charge controller. If the other items on this list leave you bruised, this one has the potential to burn your entire property to the ground. Solar is huge right now, and everyone wants a cheap setup for their shed or camping rig. But cheap here comes with a hefty price tag. There are countless reports from users and even whispers from former employees revealing that these Thunderbolt units have a serious heat management problem. When the juice from your solar panels starts pouring in instead of regulating it smartly, this device sometimes decides to turn itself into, well, a space heater. There have been cases where the plastic housing warped, melted, or straight up caught fire at the terminals. When you're dealing with fixed electrical installs in tight spaces or outdoors, a heat issue isn't a small bug, it's a giant flashing red light. Instead of playing with fire with Thunderbolt, do yourself a favor and wait for a sale on Renegade or Victron. Trust me, spending an extra 50 bucks to know you won't wake up to a smoke alarm is the best investment you'll ever make. Don't let a $30 controller turn your van or shed into a pile of ash on a sunny afternoon. If you're thinking, okay, as long as I avoid the safety stuff, I'm good, think again, because there are items that won't kill you, but they will absolutely drive you insane and wreck your entire workday. All right, let's set the life and death stuff aside for a moment. Let's talk about a different kind of pain, the pain of being betrayed by a tool, right when you're in the zone. I'm looking at you, the Pittsburgh Brake Bleeder Kit. Look, the problem here isn't that it's cheap. The problem is that it can turn a 30-minute job into a long, grueling afternoon of cursing under your breath. On paper, this kit is supposed to let you bleed your brakes solo without needing someone to pump the pedal for you. But the reality, Harbor Freight insiders usually whisper the same thing. Don't be surprised if the customer brings this back the next morning. The fatal flaw lies in the fittings and seals. They're so flimsy that they can't hold a vacuum to save their lives. You'll be pumping away like crazy, but instead of pulling brake fluid out, the tool is sucking in air from the outside through its own leaky gaps. Result: 2 hours later, your brake lines have more air bubbles than they did when you started. I've personally been there standing in the hot sun hands covered in brake fluid while the pump just sits there acting like a useless plastic toy. Honestly, instead of buying this, I'd wait for a deal on a Midivac or even just go old school with a plastic bottle and a hose. Don't let a few saved bucks turn you into the victim of a failed weekend project. Now, for something that I thought was almost impossible to mess up, but somehow they found a way, the Warrior Chuck Key. This is a drill chuck key. Its job is incredibly simple: tighten and loosen the chuck, no motor, no wires, no circuits, just a chunk of metal with some teeth. You'd think they're all the same, right? Wrong. Users report two main headaches: it doesn't fit quite right and the metal is way too soft. People have said the teeth slipped on the very first use, and by the second use, it snapped. Some folks even went back to exchange it, got a new one, and the cycle repeated. I've had a similar what the heck may means moment where I was mid-drill, needed to tighten the bit, and the key just started stripping. You aren't just annoyed, you're genuinely confused, like, seriously, this failed too. And yes, it absolutely fails. Compared to other brands, Warrior is slightly cheaper, but what you're trading away is precision and durability. If a chuck key can't even do the job of a chuck key, well, I'm out of excuses for it. To save you some time, I'm grouping these two mood killers together because they share a common trait. They look compact and budget-friendly, but they're professionals at ruining your workflow. We're talking about the Pittsburgh grommet pliers and the Quinn riveter. If you're a DIYer, you know the feeling. You're on the final step of a project, just need to set a few more grommets or pop the last few rivets and snap. The Pittsburgh grommet pliers suddenly bend like a cheap aluminum soda can, leaving your grommet half-crushed and useless. Even worse is the Quinn riveter, which was marketed as an upgrade over the old Pittsburgh line, only to jam up solid after exactly 3 rivets. The problem isn't just that it breaks, it's that it jams in the middle of the job. Once a riveter is stuck, you're spending your afternoon prying it apart, or worse, wrecking the surface of your project trying to get it off. This is the kind of tool that puts your progress in a deadlock. If you're doing any serious projects, stay away from these. Wait for a sale on Arrow, or invest a bit more in the Doyle line, still at Harbor Freight, but the steel quality and spring mechanism are in a different league entirely. Don't let a $5 tool trick you into throwing a $50 project into the trash. But wait, a jam tool isn't the worst of it. If you're planning on working with wood, the next item is going to teach you a lesson on how to ruin a workpiece with a cutting tool that refuses to actually cut. All right, let's step into the wood shop. In woodworking, there's one golden rule: sharpness and precision are the soul of your project. But if you happen to throw your money at the Warrior Forstner bits or the Central Forge plane set, well, my condolences, you just bought yourself a whole lot of trouble. A cutting tool that isn't sharp is like using a butter knife to slice a steak. It doesn't just slow you down, it leaves your cuts looking like a jagged mess and is a one-way ticket to burning or ruining your expensive lumber. Take the Warrior Forstner bits. For example, the steel is so soft that after drilling just a couple of holes in hardwood, they go dull immediately. Instead of slicing through the grain, they just grind the wood into a smoky black mess, leaving holes that look like they were chewed out by a stray dog. And that Central Forge plane set, don't let the classic look fool you. The blade is a nightmare to align, and even if you spend an hour sharpening it to a mirror finish, it'll lose its edge after just a few passes. For projects that require finesse, using these tools is pure torture. Instead of wasting cash on Warrior or Central Forge, I honestly recommend looking at the Hercules line if you want to stick with Harbor Freight, or just investing in brands like Irwin or Freud. Trust me, one high-quality bit costs as much as the whole Warrior set, but it'll give you cuts as smooth as silk and last you all year. Don't let a cheap tool ruin the heart and soul you put into your woodwork. Okay, after a string of high-stakes safety hazards, let's pivot to a different kind of failure, the kind that isn't dangerous, but is incredibly annoying if you spend any time in a garage. Enter the US General Magnetic Wrench Rack. On paper, it's a genius idea. Snap it into your drawer. Line up your wrenches and boom, everything is visible and easy to grab. No more digging through a junk pile. Great concept. Terrible execution. Tons of users report that the magnets are about as strong as a wet noodle. Every time you open or slam your drawer, the whole rack starts to tilt, slide, or just collapse. You open the drawer expecting organized bliss, and instead, you find a metallic disaster zone. I once tried a rack like this, and the feeling was clear. You spend all this time organizing it at first, but after a few uses, you're right back to square one. This tool doesn't save you time. It just schedules your frustration for later. For just a few bucks more, you can get a rack with mechanical clips or a solid tray that actually stays put. Here's the cold truth. A good organizer is supposed to take work off your plate. If it creates a new chore in your drawer, it has failed. Back to the underside of the car, the place where we spend way too much quality time talking to rusty bolts. To make the job less of a literal pain in the neck, a creeper is a must-have. But be very careful with the Pittsburgh 300-pound creeper. It proudly claims on the box that it can handle up to 300 pounds, but reality says otherwise. Look, a creeper doesn't need fancy leather or Bluetooth speakers. It just needs to roll, hold a human being, and the wheels absolutely cannot be the weakest link. The issue with this budget Pittsburgh line is exactly that: the casters. I've heard from plenty of guys, even those weighing in at 160 or 180 pounds, well under half the limit, who've had the wheels snap jam or straight up fall off after just a few trips across the garage floor. The structural integrity at the wheel mounts is just flimsy. All it takes is one tiny crack in the floor or accidentally rolling over a dropped bolt, and crack, your creeper just became a useless piece of plastic. I've personally felt that oh crap moment where I was torquing a bolt and one corner of the creeper collapsed, nearly sent my head into the chassis. It's infuriating. Instead of wasting money on this weak link, do yourself a favor at Harbor Freight and spring for the Daytona line or a steel frame creeper. A set of quality wheels will let you glide like a pro instead of struggling on a broken plastic sled. And now we're going to talk about a name that everyone knows but is incredibly controversial. These are the items you should only buy if you're looking to practice your patience instead of actually getting work done. Now let's talk about a category that traps a lot of beginners: Chicago electric power tools. To be fair, these aren't always trash. If you're just a weekend warrior doing light crafts or tiny home repairs, they'll spin, they'll cut, and they'll get the job done. The headache starts when you try to use them like, actual tools. We're talking grinders, circular saws, and reciprocating saws. When you push these tools hard, you need a motor that can breathe, stay cool, and bearings that won't quit. But with Chicago Electric, the consensus is clear: they overheat fast, lose torque, and degrade quickly under pressure. There are plenty of stories of these things just giving up the ghost right in the middle of a cut. I once saw a guy use a Chicago Electric grinder for some continuous cutting. Before lunch was even over, the thing smelled like an electrical fire and started coughing. That's the moment you realize you didn't buy a work tool. You bought a disposable tool. Compared to the big dogs like DeWalt, Makita, or Milwaukee, you're saving money up front, but you're trading away the reliability you need when the stakes are high. Chicago Electric isn't useless, but if you're planning to make a living with your tools, this ain't it. The last item on the list is a bit different because it's not actually broken. It's the Predator Power Station line. To give credit where it's due, the build quality is solid, and they're pretty dependable for basic power needs. If we were back in 2023, these would be a total buy. But the problem is, it's 2026. The power station market has moved at lightning speed lately. Every other brand has leveled up with higher battery density, massive output, more ports, Bluetooth apps, and expansion capabilities, while Predator is basically standing still. For the same price tag, you can now find models from competitors that charge faster, hold more juice, and offer way more features. Predator feels like a product that's always one step behind the beat. It's a classic case of don't avoid it because it'll break. Avoid it because your money can buy something way better elsewhere. Alright, if you only remember one thing from this video, let it be these 4 quick questions before you head to the checkout at Harbor Freight. Is this a safety-critical item? If it involves electricity lifting a car or high pressure, don't go cheap. Does it need to be precise? If it's for measuring or fine woodworking, get the reliable stuff. Is this a one-off and a forever tool? If you're going to use it every week, don't settle for good enough. What's the fail cost? If this tool breaks mid-job, is it just annoying or is it a disaster? If it's a disaster, skip the bargain bin. Harbor Freight is still a paradise for storage consumables and sometimes tools. But if you've ever bought something there and immediately regretted it, drop a comment below and let us know. Help a fellow DIYer out. And hey, if this video saved you a few bucks or a trip to the hospital, hit that subscribe button so you don't have to learn these lessons the expensive way next time. The info in this video is based on real-world experience and user reviews. Always consider your specific needs before buying. Thanks for sticking around until the end. See you in the next one.